Good day, and welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep on some of John Deere's most famous tractors and some of the little known facts. Today, we're talking about the 520 John Deere. But before we get started, if you're a fan of farming videos or John Deere tractors, you're definitely in the right place. Alright, let's get into this video. Now to recount the tale of the John Deere 520, it's necessary we gotta go back to 1934 on the release of the John Deere B. Farmers really started to become attached to this size of a tractor, being small enough to get into tight places, but still big enough to pull a two-bottom plow. The B was on the assembly line for 18 years and became one of John Deere's best-selling tractors of all time. And in 1952, the B would be replaced by the Model 50. The 50 would bring along many new features to upgrade from the B, including power steering, better hydraulics, more power, and all-around more comfort. From 1952 to 1956, John Deere would sell nearly 33,000 of these John Deere 50s, but it'd be time for even more upgrades. And those upgrades would come in late 56, with the release of the 520. Rolling in at 41.4 horsepower, the 520 was definitely an upgrade from the 50, with nearly a 10-horse increase. Using a 189.8 cubic inch engine, it had a 4 11/16 bore by 5.5 inch stroke. But the engine wasn't the only thing that was different. The 520 would see a new yellow stripe coming down the hood and down to the front of the hood where the decal would rest. These 20 series John Deere would be the first time you'd see that iconic yellow stripe that's still used to this day. Another cosmetic addition was the landing deer logo in the very front of the hood. One of the most notable changes on the 520 was at the distributor. Instead of driving it off the governor, like John Deere had done in the past, they decided to move it and drive it off the camshaft. The theory behind moving it to the camshaft was to keep the timing more precise, and there were fewer ways that the distributor could come out of time with component wear. Some other things John Deere would upgrade on the 520 would be in the transmission. Sticking with the 6-speed unsynchronized transmission, it would come to see a couple upgrades. They would strengthen the transmission in a couple different places, including better final drives and a new, higher final drive ratio. They would also include larger brakes and allow for better performance and a longer life of the brake pads. Moving on to hydraulics, the main difference that John Deere offered on the 520 was the PTO. Now the John Deere 50s had live power, but John Deere improved this by offering a foot-operated PTO pedal, replacing the hand-operated lever. The 520 would be equipped with an 18-gallon fuel tank. Now this was a slight upgrade from the 50, with the 50 only having a 15-gallon fuel tank, allowing you to stay in the field for a little bit longer. Now for row crop tractors at the end of the 50s, John Deere was producing the 520, 620, and 720. The 520 would appeal to smaller farmers, but yet many claimed it could pull a 3-bottom plow. The 520 would also see a new muffler, making the tractor a little bit quieter. Now a cool fact about the 520 is it was only produced as a row crop tractor and never came to see a wheatland or an orchard version. Some of the main options that were offered on the 520 was dual remote hydraulics, which was huge for the day, along with other options including a float ride seat, cigarette lighter, and fenders, along with what is possibly the best one among collectors, which is a 3-point. Now in the late 50s, the going price to upgrade your seat to a float ride was $35 and came in either yellow or black. Moving on to front ends, farmers had a couple different options. You could choose the regular or the heavy-duty Roll-O-Matic, standard front end, which was a fixed front axle, adjustable wide front end, and a high clearance front end. Now this high clearance front end isn't very well known, and it was beneficial for working in crops with taller vegetation. With a total of 13,048 520s being built, the rarest of which being all fuel, with 244 built. All fuel is kind of like the flex fuel of today. The tractors were designed to make use of a variety of non-gasoline burnable byproducts. These all fuels would have a secondary tank that you could start the tractor on gasoline and switch it over. They would also have slightly different compression ratios, achieving this by changing the head. They would also offer 764 propane variants of the 520. In 1958, after just over a year of production, the 520 received some upgrades. It got a new plastic-covered steering wheel, sealed beam lights, and a black painted dash. It was also in 1958 you'd see the addition of a step. Now this was an axle mounted step, which you see on many 2-cylinders today. Another cool thing that would come along in 58 that'd be a first for some of the 2-cylinder gases was a pre-cleaner. Another cool fact about these tractors is some of them were marketed and sold by the industrial division. And with this being by the industrial division, it is possible that some of them left in all John Deere yellow. However, none have ever been found and confirmed this fact. Now in the late 50s, John Deere was really experimenting with things. One of these would be with a paint. They would go on to use a yellow primer on some of the 520s, along with the early serial numbers, leaving the factory with black headlights, taillights, black generator, and a green dash. But then on the later serial numbers, they'd paint the generators green and change the dash panel to black. With the final sale price of $2,300 in 1958, this was a very economical tractor for most farmers and even small farmers. It was in July of 1958 when it was officially replaced by the 530. The 520 would be the second to last of this series to be produced before John Deere would leave the 2-cylinder design behind. Following the 520, the 530 would come out for a 2-year production run. With many collectors going after 520s today to restore them, it's no surprise they've held their value. Anyways guys, that's been a short history on the 520, and I believe the 520 was a stepping stone for Deere as they continued to upgrade and upgrade as the years went on, until they finally reached peak performance of a 530, which is the true big brother of the John Deere B, which started it all. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I got this video idea from some of the comments in my other videos, so if there's a tractor that you want to hear about, go ahead and let me know, and we might make a video about it. But anyways, you guys have a good day, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.